End relationship with my 23M girlfriend, 23F, due to cultural difference? Looking for advice from people that have been in the same situation. I've been dating my girlfriend for 2.5 years. She's Korean and I'm Indian, but we're both from the US in a metropolitan city. Our relationship has been pretty great overall. We have a lot in common. She gets my humor like nobody else, and her company has been a positive experience in my life. That being said, as time has gone on, I've seen that there are going to be some cultural differences between her family and mine, as mine seem to be much more culturally involved than hers. My family still celebrates Indian holidays, religious ceremonies, watch tons of Indian TV and cinema, listen to Indian music, some are vegetarians, and are more comfortable speaking Hindi. This gives me some pause because it feels like once we get more serious, it is inevitable that I am going to have to involve her in more cultural things. And I don't think she's as interested in that. She doesn't like spicy food, has no interest in Indian culture, and doesn't seem that interested in doing things related to Indian culture, watching Bollywood, an Indian wedding, etc. On top of that, my family wouldn't even be as interested in going to their gatherings since they eat a lot of beef and don't speak their native tongue. As time has gone on, I realized that I want to be somewhat connected to my culture and I can't seem to do that if she's not willing to be a little interested in it. I would rather do it with someone just from my own culture. I had pictured myself doing a more traditionally Indian wedding, giving my kids somewhat mixed Indian, Western names, and adhering to other Indian traditions, not eating meat certain days, certain Indian ceremonies, celebrations. My main concern is, with the amount of cultural difference, it feels like I am going to have to compensate a lot in things that are conflicting for our cultures. Wedding, kids' names, closeness with family, even movies and songs we would enjoy together, food, vacations. She has no interest in going to India, but I want to every few years. Does this mean that I shouldn't pursue this relationship? How would I sit her down to explain these things? I'm looking for advice from people who have either ended relationships due to cultural difference or have pursued one despite them. I'm honestly at a point in my life where I don't know what kind of person I'm looking for anymore. How much cultural stuff actually matters to me, and if it's a bad idea to limit my search of a partner on that basis. I am honestly leaning more towards ending the relationship because the stress of having to deal with these differences, especially when trying to plan for her meeting my parents and mine hers, has been so exhausting. Sounds like you figured out what you really want is someone more similar to your lifestyle. There isn't anything to discuss. She's not changing and neither are you. You are realizing there isn't a future you want with her. There is nothing wrong with knowing what you want. Even if you had a majority of people tell you it's wrong, only you have to live with the decisions and like it. So decide what you want and pursue it. Have you actually sat down and discussed this with her? Say it like you stated here. You are realizing your culture is important to you and would like her to be more included. Ask how she feels about that. How does she feel about having an Indian wedding? How would she want to raise potential children? This is a conversation better had sooner rather than later. It's absolutely breakup worthy if you can't find a middle ground or she shows no interest in your culture once you explain how important it is for your partner to share that with you. But it gives her the chance to see how much this means to you, and become more involved if she wants. But you won't know her stance until you talk to her. You're not overthinking this. These are fundamental lifestyle differences that will only become more significant over time. The fact that she shows no interest in Indian culture while you clearly want to maintain those traditions is a major red flag. This isn't about forcing her to change. It's about recognizing that your ideal futures may not align. You're already feeling stressed about family meetings and cultural events, and that's before marriage, kids, and deeper family integration. Don't dismiss these feelings as mere anxiety. They're telling you something important about what you want in a life partner. So just get yourself an Indian girlfriend. I also see you can't adapt yourself to her culture, or from what I'm reading. What it sounds like you are saying is you want a woman who is Indian because, in the end, someone who is going to celebrate and appreciate your culture the way you do is likely another person of Indian descent. I would let her know this and then focus on that. If you don't live in India, why is any of this an issue? Sorry, why are you not dating an Indian if you're this submersed in the culture? Why did you date her in the first place? I weirdly feel bad for this girl. You're probably rejecting her based on all the reasons you started to date her in the first place. I 27 female have lied to my 30 male partner. Would you leave? Okay, so here goes. I have been dating this guy for 2 years. And it's breaking me. I have lied. This because he is the most purest and kindest soul I have ever met. When we first started dating, we were discussing our past sexual partners. And I lied because at the time I was not ready, to tell him about my first experience. I was 13 years old and I have always been mortified by the experience and have never spoken about it since other than one of my parents. Regardless of what happened, I have still lied and it's eating me up inside because I honestly would marry this man in a heartbeat. I have never ever lied to him about anything else. I just didn't feel comfortable at first telling him this. But now it's way past too late. He hasn't brought anything up, I just have this guilty conscience and I hate that I had not just told him from the start. I absolutely had to tell him. I am so frightened he will hate me, but I understand I have caused this. I just cannot cope him not knowing anymore, it's eating me up inside. I hope it doesn't make me a bad person, but here I have made a bad choice. Based on what you've said, it sounds like the experience was very uncomfortable and possibly even traumatizing for you. If he genuinely loves you, he'll understand and hear you out, but it is definitely something you need to bring up, as being open with your partner is very important. I don't consider that a lie. It was a traumatizing experience that you chose not to share. Unless it's affecting your behavior and relationship together, it may not need to be discussed. I understand your feelings, but I'm not sure this is a lie. You didn't come out and state it, but it sounds like you were abused not consensually having sex. It's up to you to decide to tell him, but if he leaves you over this, he's not the amazing person you think he is. This is why when an early partner asks about previous relationships, I tell them I'm not ready to talk about it and also insert a blurb of how I don't want to bring my past into the present relationship. But of course, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's hindsight. Explain to him that it was an uncomfortable topic at the time and the experience you're speaking of was traumatic. He should be understanding of this if he loves you. 1. If he's worth a shit, he will understand at some level why sex at 13 was not something one would want to speak of, and 99% likely to be abuse and trauma of some sort. 2. It may hurt him somewhat that you didn't want to tell him initially, but he should get over it fairly quickly. 3. Understanding your history will help him work around things. I'm going to guess if you're like most people, there are certain things that are triggers, absolutely off the table, or other abnormally strong reactions. It will help him understand and recognize these as not about him personally. I have come to conclusion that usually it is best to not disclose those details about yourself. Not all has to be told, oversharing is not needed. One can be genuine without filling all the details. I, 23M, am worried my new girlfriend, 22F, will think my Spotify Wrapped is weird. Help. I, 23M, recently started dating a new girl, 22F. We'll call her Janice, and things have been going very well. We've recently made things official and she's funny, cute, and super positive. I've been really trying not to mess things up because I really like her. Earlier Spotify Wrapped came out, as most people know. I'd say my music tastes are all over the place. I listen to country, rock, old songs, new songs. There really isn't a genre of music I don't like. I listen to whatever the vibe calls for. However, one genre of music I listen to constantly is anime nerdcore rap. Love to listen to it in the gym mostly, and this has caused my 2-5 songs to be a bunch of songs based on animes and from some pretty no-name artists. I think the songs are catchy and enjoy them, but admittedly I think it's pretty weird, and it's usually why I don't post my Wrapped on social media. Anyways, I was texting Janice and she loves Spotify Wrapped, I guess? She said she wants to see mine. She knows I am kind of into anime, but I'm a little worried that she will think I'm weird for my top 5 songs and artists. My top songs playlist has country, old rock, and some others, but is I'd say 40% nerdcore. I wish I could alter the Wrapped, but sadly there isn't a feature for that. IDK. I really like this girl. Any thoughts or help on this is appreciated. The whole point of the early stages of a relationship is to see if you are compatible. Do not hide who you are unless you want to spend your whole life pretending not to care about the things you actually like. If she's the one for you, your musical taste shouldn't change that. Be proud of who you are. Not to sound rude, but if you can't share stuff like that with your partner, perhaps you should reconsider. If Janice is going to be put off by your interests, it would be better to know that early in the relationship. You can't expect to pretend to be someone you're not just to impress her. So be yourself and let her take it or leave it. A partner you can't be yourself with isn't worth having. First world problem? Be always yourself or regret later. My top 5 songs are from the Hamilton soundtrack. We like what we like.